Oh my gosh. I'm ready to dive in. I'm so inspired. Greece was incredible for me. Greece, it wasn't like come to Jesus moment, but I went there with this thought in mind that I wanted to integrate all the parts of myself into one. And I certainly was able to do that with no judgment and not like we have here in America, especially when it comes to bodies and things like that. So I will be sharing lots of the images from the photo shoots coming soon. I did post a few of them recently or as part of my travels so that you all could see them and kind of share in the moment with me. But it was really, really powerful, especially the flying dress photo shoot. I'm super excited about that. Bringing in my birthday there was pretty powerful for me as well. So I'm excited to be home. I'm excited to dive back in. And I woke up this morning with courage on the brain. And so today's topic is the courage to make millions. I get asked quite often, how, Shameca, how'd you do it? How'd you have $1 million month? How'd you have $1 million day? How did you create $1 million business? And I feel like people are so stuck in this how to, the strategy of it all. And we miss some of the bigger components. So I'm going to pull back the curtains today and share some insights into not only how I build my business, but how I live my life that has transformed me, that has allowed me to create the things that I spoke over my life and my business just a few years ago when I made the decision it was going to be. And it's been kind of beautiful. In the last few weeks, I would say within this past 30 days or month, several people have reminded me of conversations we had 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago in certain places. They're like, everything we talked about is true for you today. And even thinking about it right now, I have to take a beat and take a breath because it's so true. And it's not like I was like, speak those things and it's going to come. Speak those things and it's going to come. I've lived life in between there. There's been ups and downs and there's been failures and disappointments. And the one thing that never stopped is I never stopped going. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about how I created this reality of having a multi-million-dollar business that impacts and changes so many lives, or how to better title this if you don't understand the courage to make millions, or if millions seems too big for you, how to hit $25,000 to $100,000 months with ease, with this grace, with this flow, with this effortlessness. Listen, I don't work 24/7. I'm not running around like a chicken with its head cut off. None of that is my reality. I get to live life. I get to be in the joy of life. I get to spend time with my family and my kids, and be with clients while doing what I do. And so I want to share with you today one of the biggest components of this. And here's what I want to bring up. The key to going from 6 figures to 7 figures is not what you hear most of the people online, the online gurus. It's not what they want you to believe, right? A lot of people will share with you this strategy and that strategy, because that's what they're selling. They're selling the strategies that they have. And so they want you to believe that you need to know how to do reels or know how to do funnels or know how to do all these things in order to build your businesses. I still have people popping in my inbox or on calls with me that are like, if you need to do YouTube to get to $1 million. And I'm like, hello, I'm already at $1 million and I don't do that stuff. And so I know none of those tactics are required in order for you to be able to cross the $1 million mark in your business. But there are some things that are. And today I'm going to talk about one of the things that is, and it's not a fancy funnel. It's not the latest, greatest social media trend. It's not creating yet another offer to offer people. I've been selling the same 3 offers. We just added one last year, my proximity program, which is my highest level of mentorship with me. Now we have 4, but I've been selling the same offers for almost 7 years now. So you don't have to create another offer. It's not slapping the highest price point on what you do sell to make sure you make a crap ton of money from people. It's not in any of those things. And today I want to talk about one of the pieces of the puzzle, what it is. And right now, I'm about to blow your mind. But before I do, I want to hear from you if you're listening, even if you're watching this on a replay or you're listening on the podcast, chime in and let me know, what's your next level of wealth creation in your business? What are you looking to get to? Are you looking to get to $500,000? Are you looking to break your first 6 figures for the year? Are you looking to get into the $1 million mark? Are you trying to create your first 100K month? Go ahead and type that in the chat for me so I can see who I'm here with. and what your goals and your dreams are. One, because I want to stand with you, but I want to understand the level of people that I'm talking to as well, so that I can make sure that this is relevant for you and that it meets you where you are. I see a 500,000 there. Keep them coming in. Jalen says, proximity, here I come. Every time I say proximity, you say that. 1.4 million, looking for her first 100K month in June. I love it. $250,000 in a new program. I love that you said that, Audrey. She said $250,000 in a new program. I want you guys to understand, I have one income stream that is $1 million, and I have my other revenue streams as well. So you can have a program that crosses $1 million, which is what I try to teach my clients to do. First, get the revenue stream to $100,000 and then grow it from there, with the goal being every revenue stream that you have bringing in a minimum of $1 million. I see $500,000. All right, guys, I love it. So I just wanted to see where you are. And I don't want you to take what I say lightheartedly. I want you to take it to heart. Don't take it with a grain of salt, because it can seem very simplistic. I teach, part of my gifting in the world, part of the way God created me to be, is to simplify things. And so a lot of what I can say and how I teach can sound so simple, but it is profoundly powerful if you put it to work. And this is the stuff that changed the game for me. I have been in this industry for well over a decade. I have been in programs with the highest of the highest level of mentors that are out there, coaches and consultants that are out there. I watch people pass me by year after year after year and staying stuck. And one of the keys that I'm going to give you today is how I unlocked this next level that I'm currently living into, and what I'm using to unlock my next level as well. And so it's going to sound simple, but I want you to take a beat and take a breath and go, what's in this for me? Where do I need to excavate some things and open up some things and up level some things? Because it's going to be a really powerful conversation. Okay, so if you're ready to have your mind blown, your $25,000 months, your $50,000 months, your 100K months, they're not even really goals or a destination that you're trying to get to. People are like, I'm trying to get there. That was me. Like, I want to have this $1 million business. Here's how I want to blow your mind. I don't want you to think about them as goals or destinations, because that's not what they are. They are energetic frequencies. Right? The goal is not to hit them. What the goal is to attune to them, to calibrate to the frequency of it. You can tell, you can sense it, right? There is a frequency that a high-end restaurant has. You can feel the elevation in the air. There's a frequency of a Denny's, right? There's a frequency of Walmart, and then there's a frequency of a Bloomingdale's. There is a frequency, right? And so what happens is, you're not trying to achieve the thing, you're trying to attune to it. You're trying to resonate on the same frequency as that goal, so that you can call it in effortlessly to yourself. And this is where most people make this mistake. Each frequency, every level, holds a very specific resonance, a code, if you will, an energetic signature that is present within it. And until you get on that level, you can't call it in, no matter how hard you try. That's why it doesn't matter what you do. So it's not a question if you can hit it, if you can hit the $1 million or the $500,000 or whatever you wrote down, $250,000, or even whether or not you can get into that frequency. Because here's the truth. What I learned in my journey is you probably already have been there before. So I've told you guys, and if you've been watching me, you know that I've had $1 million month. And then last year we had $1 million day. We brought in $1 million in sales into my business in a 24-hour period of time. What that lets me know is I have a peak into that frequency of being able to have $1 million days consistently. So it's not a matter of whether or not I can do it. I know that I can. For most of you, if you calculate all the money that you've made in your lifetime, the majority of you will find that millions have passed through your hands already. You already have this matching frequency. You've already been there before. Now it's just a matter of learning how to collapse time around that. And what I'm going to share with you today is one of the most powerful pieces in being able to do that. So if you've already done it before, why don't you have it now? Because the question is, when you get it, can you hold it? And for most of us, if we don't see it in front of us, if you're not having that $500,000, $250,000, $1 million business that you want right now, because you don't have the capacity to hold it. You don't have the leadership and the capacity to lead at that level. Another question for you is, are you willing to navigate the growth that comes with becoming the type of woman or man, the leader that can actually have it and hold it and create it? Not to do it and then have it go away, but to sustain it. So while I've experienced $1 million month, multiple $1 million months, and experienced $1 million day, I am not yet the leader that can hold that frequency, but I've tasted it. Are you getting what I'm saying? The next question I have for you is, are you willing to invest like your success is inevitable? Because that is one of the things that I do, and it takes courage to do that. Right. And I'm not just talking about investing in coaching and consulting and mentoring and marketing and all the things that we invest in business. It's time, effort, and it is money and other things, right? Are you willing to invest in your own self-care, in your own self? Most people aren't. What we do is we hold off on all the things good that we could do for ourselves in our lives because we're waiting till we get there one day. And you'll never start operating on that frequency unless you start to treat yourself well now, unless you start to live into that now, to feel into what it would feel like for you to be living a life. That's why I took the private jet. And that's why I'm taking my clients on a private jet next month, so they can feel that frequency. I got to feel what it felt like to be whisked through the airport beyond all the lines. Like, we literally made people move out the way so that we can go through the TSA line. And then the courier took our bags, and they didn't care what was in it. It could be water, anything. No one cared. We just got whisked through everything and then driven in a car straight to the tarmac to the airplane and on it and off. All of like 10, 15 minutes to get on a flight. That's never happened in my life. I fly first class all the time. There isn't a frequency about that level of service that I now have been exposed to. Are you allowing yourself to be exposed on the level that you desire to operate those types of investments? That's what I'm talking about. When I decided that it was time for me to calibrate or attune to 100K months, 100K months. This was like 2017. I remember I was saying this statement all the time. I'm a type of woman who creates 100K months, and I didn't do it. I remember it was 2017 or 2016, that year, I had an $83,000 month, and I was so disappointed. I no longer get disappointed when I don't hit goals because I have to think about it in a different way. But I was so disappointed because I was so close. And a colleague of mine, who is now a client in my highest level program, said, I want to share something with you. She said, I heard what you were saying about having the goal to have $100,000 month this year, and you didn't do it. And it was like October when we were having this conversation. And she said, I need you to understand, you said you did an $83,000 month. That is $83,300 a month is what it takes to create $1 million business. You see, I was on the frequency that I had decided that I wanted to be on, but I was looking at it from a different vein. That was my sneak peek into, Shameca, you can create $1 million business. $83,000, 800 something dollars was the only month that I had that year that was that large, but I understood that I was getting a peek into the frequency of what that meant to call it in. When I made that decision, it seemed like things began to be unstable, right? Every next level that I calibrate to comes with a minor bit of what I would call chaos. Most people may not call it that. What seems like things going wrong. And I'm sharing this because you may be experiencing it, and it's going to cause you to call down on your courage to continue, your courage to lean into the knowing that's in your belly about what you are meant to create in the world, the courage to not quit, the courage to hold on to the promises of God over your life. things would go wrong, like clients' payments bouncing, having to have difficult conversations with people. I've had banking issues come up, health problems, literally all the things that you can think of, tech problems. And most people let those things, they hit a wall, they let those things take them out of the game. I giggle because I'm like, oh, I know what this is for. I know what is coming. I see you. I got you. I understand. And then I stand firm, moving, no matter how slowly, forward towards the mark that I've set my mind on. Literally, I know that it's enough to make you consider quitting, right? And there are many times where I've looked at myself and said, is this something you really want to be doing? And then I remember the call on my life, the call of God on my life, and I say yes again and again and again. You know, there was a point where I thought to myself, I could be happy with $300,000 a year. Life was even good for me at that point because I had gotten my business to a point that I never thought I would be at. You don't need $1 million, Shameca, right? $1 million just comes with headaches. This is a story I was telling myself. What that was resistance. It was my ego resisting the healing that was necessary for me to become. But what I knew when I examined myself, is deep down, I truly desired it. And when I allowed myself to fully surrender to the truth of the desire to run a multi-million-dollar business, to serve people to the degree that their lives would be transformed, it came. The $100,000 months came back to back to back to back. The $1 million year came. The $1 million month came. The $1 million day came. But I surrendered to the truth of my desires. Then 100K months became the norm, right? First, it was $100,000 or 6-figure sales in a month. We called in sales, right? But a lot of people are like, but is it sales or is it cash? It always starts with sales, boo, right? 6-figure sales. Now we receive multiple 6 figures cash month in and month out. What I want you to know is this. Everything that I know that I am experiencing right now in my life and my business, and even what's to come, hell, you might get there before I do. I don't know, but it's all available to you if that's your desire. There was a time where I thought I pushed it so far off, doing millions in my business, so far off that I didn't know or understand how to get there. I was just moving and moving and moving and moving. And I had to learn how to settle down. Right? Here's the question. The question isn't, will you get there? The question is, will you do the work that is required? That is the question. And the work that is required is not so much in what I was doing, the doing, the moving, or the how, or the strategy. The work, the real work, the work is in the becoming. And becoming, expanding your leadership, becoming the person who can lead at that level, who can not just have a pop or a peak of the frequency of $1 million year or $1 million day or $1 million month, but who can actually hold it. Becoming takes courage. That's what I want to lean into today. Becoming takes courage. Listen to me. I posted this today because it was on my mind when I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, because my body is somewhere in between Greece and California. It doesn't really know what time it is because that was neither time zone. What I posted was, more than anything, entrepreneurship is a game of courage. Those who play the game well can accomplish anything. Everything is possible. Those who run from having to pull out their courage, to pull down their courage, will stay stuck. And so another question I have for you today that I want you to consider is this: how are you playing the game? What's the most courageous thing you've done? What's the last courageous thing you've done? Are you running in fear? Are you moving and making decisions in your business with fear? With what ifs? It goes wrong. What if I don't get it right? What if people think I'm a failure? What are people going to think about me? That's not a courageous stand. And so I want you to examine, if you're not growing to the degree that you desire to, I'm not talking about fast, right? But I'm just talking about this growth where you desire to run that $500,000 business, and it just seems like a pipe dream, right? That $250,000 business, that $1 million business. How are you doing at the game of courage? I've done a lot of things to grow my business. But the biggest and most powerfully transformational thing that I've ever done, the biggest thing was learn how to tune into the frequency of courage and possibility. CrossFit, if you don't know this about me, I CrossFit typically every day. I haven't since I've been in Greece, probably take 1 to 2 days off a week. I CrossFit every day, and I've been a CrossFit athlete for almost 10 years now. And it was actually the thing that catapulted me getting back to my first 6-figure year. What I realized is it was a beautiful mirror for how I show up when the rubber meets the road. Right? Can you keep going? Will you give in? What's your self-talk when it's tough? It's a beautiful mirror for growing a business. What I also noticed that it required extreme amounts of courage for me to even try it, let alone continue to do it all this time. I'm now 47. I started when I was 37. And so as I grew in that, my business started growing. The year I started CrossFit is the year that my business crossed 6 figures for the first time. And then on and on and on and on, and just began to grow. I followed the thread of courage. Now I work that courage muscle often. I do these things that are called courage experiences. Why? Because I want my soul, my DNA to remember how to move past the terror barrier of what comes next in business and in life. Without courage, you stay stagnant. Most people will say they have it down. I look at that post, there's hundreds of likes on it right now, or 100 likes on it right now, a couple of comments, I don't know exactly how many, and everybody's like amening the post. But the truth is, most of us don't have the courage thing down. We say we do. We have an understanding of head knowledge of what it means to be courageous in business and entrepreneurship. But for most of us, when the rubber meets the road, we don't have courage. That's why I'm asking you to tune into yourself. We want it to be so easy, and it does get to be easy, and it gets to be simple. But the feeling of ease comes when you know how to navigate courage, when you know how to oscillate when fear shows up, when you can invest in a $30,000 mentorship or a $100,000 mentorship, knowing that there's going to be a return on investment for you. Right? There's courageous things when you can raise your rates and confidently stand in the value of who you are and say, you know what? I'm no longer going to charge $1,000 to work with me for a day. It's going to be $10,000. And I know that the value is there. I was talking to a client yesterday during our mastermind call who has been in her industry for 30 years, the go-to of the go-to in her industry. Yet in her own business, she oscillates quite often with standing in that value. In order for her to do that, it is going to require courage to say, it's $20,000 to work with me, boo. It just is. There's nothing that's going to change that, because I know the value of the transformation that I provide. I know what that's going to mean for you over a lifetime. When I look at the work that I do, yeah, I teach people how to make money, but there's a lot of becoming and holding and being a mirror for my clients and reflecting back their power. What they learn, who they become, will be a part of them in every dollar that they make moving forward, the skill sets and the becoming. I'm clear about that. You can leave the container, but you take all of that with you. There's value in that. So the courage to stand in your price points, the courage to say the offer, the courage to show up, the courage to sell, all of those things. Most people will say that they have it down, but the truth is they really don't. Because as humans, we are wired for safety. So check in with yourself. We're wired for comfort and safety. We'll do the same thing over and over again. If you pay attention, you probably put on the same color socks every Tuesday. Then you have to stop yourself. We all do it. Every single time something incredible and unusually amazing has happened in my life, it was always preceded by drastic, courageous action. The year I crossed $1 million, I invested in my first 6-figure mentor. Every single time. Was I scared? Hell yeah. But I had a knowing. And so I moved with that knowing courageously. I have always been required at every next level, and you will be too, to have a conversation with fear and tell it to sit down, shut up, and take several seats in the way back. If you're not doing this every day, you're either not stretching yourself enough, you're not playing big enough, or you're playing in fear. Entrepreneurship is a game of courage more than anything. Courage is a requirement. Every single time I go to my next level, it requires me to expand in my leadership of self. It has never been a comfortable process, but it has always been worth it. It requires me to be in integrity with my own evolution and journey. And some of you are not. I'm asking you to check in with yourself because that requires courage to tell the truth about where you are. We're so used to pie in the sky, silver lining, hoping that it's going to get better that we don't tell the truth about the current circumstance and the situation that we're in. If it's not working, it's not working. If you've been stuck at $600,000 a year for the last 3 years, you're stuck. You're not going to figure it out. It's going to require you to do something different, and doing something different than you've always done requires courage. It requires you to be in integrity, again, with the truth of your evolution. Again, all of that, to tell the truth, takes courage. The courage to calibrate to your next level of power, the courage to elevate your standards. You know, I wore a cape for a long time. I wanted to save everyone and everybody. I would invite people for free to my workshops because I knew that if I can just teach them something, share something with them, they would be transformed. It never worked. It never worked. It's going to require you to let all of that stuff go, to elevate the standard of who you allow in your programs, how you allow people to treat you, how you show up in the world. Period. If you want to attune to the frequency of the next level, there was a point in time in my life where I had to start flying first class. Because people who run $1 million businesses fly first class. Right? Elevate your standards. I valet park everywhere. I even found out through this whole courage journey of valet parking that in the casinos where I live in California, valet parking has always been free. But when you're on the frequency of lap, you go park in the garage because you're trying to avoid paying for parking. You don't even realize it's a free service that's available to you. This is where you begin to take a look inside, in your inside parts, into who you be, into the reality of how you actually operate in the world and how you're co-creating your current reality with God. It's not happening to you, it's happening because of you. And you got to look at how and why those things are showing up the way that they are, and that takes courage. It's about being impeccable with your word, first and foremost, your word to yourself, not to anybody else. See, we don't mind when other people are looking, showing up in the right way when no one's looking, or when we make a commitment to ourselves, we'll break that time and time again. Can you trust yourself with your dreams? Can you tell yourself the truth about what you really want to create? It takes courage to operate at a higher level of integrity and transparency and honesty about your own journey. Choosing to tell the truth about what's really going on or how it's really going, instead of gaslighting yourself and the world into believing it's going well, it's okay, and it's going to be okay. You know, the number of smiling social media pictures I see when I can sense the frequency behind it is desperation. I know. I'm lighting a fire with gasoline today. But this conversation is necessary. It's a conversation I had to have with myself. If you go back to 2012, 2011, 2014 even, I think the light started to come on around 2016 or something like that. If you go back, what you'll see is the facade. You'll see me smiling, knowing I was laying my head on my pillow at night, crying out to God, why is this still not working? You can see it in my eyes. I can see it. And it wasn't until I was willing to tell the truth about everything, about how many clients I had instead of pretending like I had 30 when I only had 2, right? About the level of business I was running. In my head, I was already running the $1 million business, but the reality was I wasn't even quite at 6 figures yet again. The truth set me free. The truth of who I be. Showing up, dressing and looking how I thought everybody desired me to look in order for me to be the mentor that calls in the millions. I'm going to hold my hands like this and take pictures and, all the things that people tell you need to do. Smile on all your pictures, all that stuff. And then I decided to be me. Chopped my hair, dyed it purple. Now it's blue. I wear what I want to wear. I talk how I want to talk. I teach how I want to teach. I mentor from the depths of my soul, not from something I read in a book. I mentor from my journey. Step here, don't step there. I've seen that before. This is what it feels like. This is what you're going to have to do. I mentor from my knowing because I now operate in truth. That takes courage to not be like everyone else. I was celebrating my wins and my clients' wins before it was the thing to do. That took courage to do it again and again and again. I was afraid. I was so afraid of being judged. Now it's cool to celebrate wins. Do you have the courage to call down your next level? It's a requirement. Listen. Some of y'all don't want to hear that part. Instead, you want the world to believe it's going good, it's going well, when you know there's shifts that are necessary for your next level. Money, the ultimate money, the overflow of money, the accelerated overflow of money is the byproduct of the person that we become. It's the evidence of the person we have become. The more in alignment, because not being in truth means you're out of alignment. That's why your stuff doesn't work the way you want it to work. That's why you're stuck at the level that you're at. You have to come into alignment with who you desire to be. And the more in alignment you are, the wealthier you become. We become. The more in alignment I become with who I be by God's design, the more wealth and opportunities flow through me and to me. Everything attached to me wins when I'm in alignment. The more we, as one of my mentors says, we talk the walk instead of walk the talk, right? The wealthier we become. And in order for you to do that, to be about who you say you desire to be in the world and to actually call it in, to be in alignment, that requires courage, because it may not look like somebody else's journey, but it's yours. To say what you want to say, independent of how somebody says a post should be structured. To run your business how you desire to run it, independent of how somebody says a program should be structured. To charge what you want to charge, independent of what other people are charging. I've never sold low-end programs. Even when coaches and mentors were asking me to do it, because that's the way that it's supposed to be done. You got to do the $997 to the, $1997 to the, it just never resonated with my spirit, because I knew there was a level of commitment that was required, a covenant agreement that was required. And that money was a part of that in order for me to mentor and coach people to the levels of results that I've been able to do. Here's what I know. I know that I am here to normalize big money in the hands of incredibly good people, powerful people with good hearts, so that there's a shifting that happens on this planet, period. And some people are hella inspired by it, and some people are hella triggered, and I'm okay with either one of those. What I want you to understand is getting here to courage is going to take the same for you. right? $1 million in a day, 100K sales months, clients showing up in my world within days of finding me and paying in full $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, $10,000. My evolution doesn't make sense to the average mind, and yours doesn't have to either. When we're co-creating with God, it is magical. There's a book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. It's required reading for all of my clients. And there is a section in this book, and I think I've quoted it several times, where the author says, say you want to make $1 million, and you say, I want to make $1 million in a year, or I want to make $1 million by the end of the year. And he goes, why choose that? It's an arbitrary date. It's a mere grab a date. Why put a time limit on what source or God can create in an instant? That is one of the things that I learned, that in this co-creation, there is divine timing. That timing is not mine. And when I let that go, that's how I collapse time. Again, my evolution doesn't make any sense. It defies all the rules, all the laws, collapsing time again and again and again, right? In 2020, we crossed $1 million for the year. We created $1 million in 30 days. And in 2021, we created $1 million in 24 hours. It takes courage to go beyond anything you've ever done before. You're not going to do that from the safety of knowing everything, from having control or the illusion of control. It takes courage to invest in support. It takes courage to move beyond dreaming of creating 6-figure months in your business and actually becoming the woman who can have it and hold it. Every dollar I make, every zero in my bank account, what I know that I know that I know is that it is a reflection of a time that I said yes to courage. Every level of elevation, I have always been required to have that conversation with fear. And I'm here to tell you, the journey for you will be no different. That's what I wanted to share with you today. So if you think you're going to get there by just reading it in a book and writing it down in a journal, that's not how it happens. I always tell my clients, any strategy will work. It's you that has to become. And I'll remind you again that the becoming takes courage. Very quickly, I want to make a quick invitation to Play Big, because Play Big is one of the most powerful programs, the most profound bodies of work I've ever created. We're going into the 17th iteration, the 17th round of Play Big. It's not a normal space. It's not like any other program. And it's not about doing and strategy. It is about the becoming and the up-leveling. I will be showing 30 leaders how to expand, have, hold, receive what's next for them into whatever that next level is for them, turning their 100K years into 100K in 90 days or less. And the money's not the best part of it. It is the person that emerges. That is the goose that lays the golden egg. Again, this isn't a how program. It's a container that holds you in the highest frequency of your power. You don't need somebody to tell you what to do. You're a master at your craft. You know what to do. You know that. But what you need is a mirror reflecting back to you the greatness you know you already have. What you need is an energetic portal that helps you attune to the level and the frequency of power that you desire to hold all the time, that ensures that you don't keep turning it on and off, fluctuating up and down, or falling in and out of your own power. That's the work that I do, right? You'll never struggle when you're operating at your highest level of power. The times where struggle, lack, stuckness, self-doubt creeps in is when we're outside of it. When it's right there, but we're not in it. We're not sitting in the seat of our power. Play Big is the space where you tap into your next level version of you. The you that you know is already there, but for some reason, you can't stay on top of that identity. It comes and it goes, it wavers. And inside of Play Big, we only know how to see you as that version of yourself. So again, 30 people are going to go through it. We have 10 spots available. Question is one of them yours? Here's how you get access. If this is resonating with you, like on a guttural level, message me to apply. There is an application process. There truly is. Message me and we'll take you through that application process. We'll send your application through. You and I will chat via Messenger and we'll see if Play Big is the next step for you. In my world, we focus on 3 things mainly. The first one is embodied leadership, because when you own all of who you be, that's when you can call in everything. That's when you can have it all. The second thing is intentional strategy. So not just willy-nilly following all the strategies that are out there, but what's intentional for you? Like what works with you? Right now, when I'm getting my sleep back on, I'm attuning back to my own circadian rhythm. I'm like circadian rhythm, right? There's a way that my body sleeps. I sleep for about 7 to 8 hours, depending on how tired I am. And when I went to Greece, that was kind of off, right? So there is a way of strategy that works for you that's not like anybody else's. That's why when you just try to mimic other people, you're like, I'm doing all the things and it doesn't work because it's not coming from within you. So we focus on intentional strategy through organic marketing and sales that call in your highest level clients. And then the third thing is quantum energetics around wealth. And that's helping you to calibrate to the frequency of your next level of wealth. That's why, again, I'm taking my clients in my highest level program on the private jet. I want them to see what that feels like. They need to know, have a taste of that frequency in order to calibrate to it. So we work on the energetics around wealth and money and calling those things in. Play Big is a no excuse zone, right? It's an invitation for you to walk at your highest frequency of power. And inside of this container, I share what has changed the game for me. And I walk you through the work. It's a $10,500 investment. There are payment plans available. And again, all you have to do is message me to apply. So send me a message. Tell me you're ready to play big. We'll have a conversation and your life will be transformed if you're a good fit. What you desire, everything that you guys typed in that earlier comment section, you know, your $250,000 a year, your $500,000 a year, your $1 million a year, your 6-figure months, whatever it is that you're going for and aiming for, whatever your next level of wealth is waiting for you to fully claim it. There is nothing that you cannot accomplish. If you have a thought in your mind, then it is possible for you to achieve it. You wouldn't be thinking about it. You wouldn't be listening to the sound of my voice right now if it were not. It is wholly available to you. The question is do you have the courage to become who you need to become in order to allow it to come to you? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And I just didn't, my heart was just breaking for all the things that I was singing. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't quite sure how to package it so that you could receive it. And now I'm just ready to bring it because I'm here to mentor. I'm here to guide. I'm here to lead by example. And I'm taking everybody with me who's willing to go. Period. Have an incredible day, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment. Like right now. I'm not gonna stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously, leave a comment.